This podcast episode is brought to you by The Cry Lounge. The Cry Lounge is an independent publishing company founded by this podcast's hosts, Bonnie Orbison. The Cry Lounge transfers your daydreams onto paper. With 2 book releases the past 2 years, they are preparing to extend their service to other authors and other creatives. To get more details and support this show, there's a link in the description you can check out. The Cry Lounge looks forward to meeting you. Hi, my name is Bonnie Orbison, and this is my podcast, Bonnie's Legends. Honestly, I have no idea how to introduce this episode. This episode, I think, changed my life. I'm not quite sure how to describe it exactly, but it changed my life. Just saying, it changed my life. And we also talk in this episode a lot about things that changed our lives. If I mean Kyla Rain and I. Kyla Rain was an idol, a role model for me for not a long time. You know what I mean? Like, I discovered her and immediately, like, I just saw this one video we talk about, and immediately I texted her. I never had this before, and I always kind of had to think about the legend a long time before I texted them. And with Kyla, it was completely different. I immediately texted her. I felt the need in me to immediately text her. So I have completely no idea how to describe Kyla Rain, because Kyla is... She is. You know what I mean? Like, she is existing. I don't know. She's like, she is. I have completely no words for her. And just listen to this episode and define Kyla Rain on your own afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Kyla Rain back in August 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyla Rain.
Hello, thank you for having me on this. This is really, really fun.
Thank you for being my guest.
Of course.
I want to tell our listeners why I chose you for my guest. So I was on the profile of Beats By Dre because of Charli XCX. Did you listen to her new album?
So good. Oh my gosh, Charli's an actual queen.
Yeah, she is. I listened to this album. I was kind of didn't have that time around the time it came out, and I was like, okay, I will listen to it later. And then I had to do homework for school, and then I was like, okay, I listened to it now during homework, and that was like my soundtrack of my whole homework stuff to do. It's so motivational.
I love that. It's so good. I think Charli XCX put together the band Nasty Cherry, and they just came out with a new song too. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Nasty Cherry is brilliant. I really like the Brain Soup song. That's...
Oh my gosh.
So I was on the profile because of Charli XCX, and I love Beats by Dre because they have so many talented artists. Of course, I have like the hope one day I will see myself in their profile too.
I love that, dude. Honestly, they're so sweet and reach out to like a ton. Like, I am not a big person. I'm a fairly small creative, and so when that opportunity came, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, yes, like I promise you, it is so possible and so obtainable, especially in like the work that you do as well. I feel like it aligns very nicely with who they try to feature.
Hopefully they will listen to this episode.
I believe in you.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
And then I scrolled through their latest posts because they were like shadow banned for me. I don't know why, because I was always like watching this post. And then I saw your post. I was like, wow, so she's around my age. She goes to school. She's talented as hell. Like, you're the person I want to be like. How old are you now?
I'm 19 now.
So great. So I want to be the 19 how you are right now.
Oh, dude, that's the biggest compliment. Thank you so much. Honestly, I still have like zero clue what I'm doing. I'm just kind of walking around, see how everything looks, hoping that something works out in the end.
Yeah, and also in the last weeks, I realized that I think our generation has to help more each other and support each other. And I was like, okay, so for season 2, I want to have more teenagers. I was like, I started a few.
Oh, dude, I feel that way about our generation too. Like, I think that, you know, the whole stereotype that like our generation is the quote unquote like lazy generation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so wrong because we are just the generation of freelancers, and we don't really take we don't really take the constructs of what's possible and what's been done before. Like, we want to make something completely new, and to maybe some of like the older generations that might seem like lazy because you don't want to work like a 9-to-5 office job, when in reality, like, freelancing and like being an entrepreneur and an artist and an activist and like everything that our generation's doing right now is like, at least in my opinion, it's so much harder work, but it's so much more rewarding as well.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't know, maybe it's also like really German. I mean, I'm German. For example, my dad, he's car, how are you saying? He's preparing like damaged cars. He's making them.
A mechanic.
Yeah.
Like cars.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then my mom is a hairdresser, and they're all like having these old jobs. And then I'm so glad my brother is 14 years older and left Germany really early and has now his own startup factory. I'm so happy for that, because now my mom is tolerating everything I do. Not my father. He still thinks we two don't work, but that doesn't matter.
I feel that. It's like with my magazine, my grandma really doesn't understand, really doesn't like, you know, think it's not cool or fun. But my dad, he likes it and supports me. He's doesn't really know like exactly what I do, but he's like, cool opportunities, yeah. But it was like I started the magazine when I was a freshman in high school. So I started it when I was 15. I started building it in middle school in 8th grade, and it took me a while to get up. But in the beginning, it was very much like everybody was like, why are you doing this? Like, it's never going anywhere. Like, it was just like a blog sort of thing. And yeah, it was definitely like, I guess, earning that respect in the eyes of my elders sort of thing.
Yeah. Or like when I started this podcast, I was like sending my grandpa, because he's always modern and that stuff. And I was like, okay, he knows what a podcast is and that stuff. And I sent him the link, and then he listened to it. And Bonnie Orbison is not my real name, so he didn't know that. And then he was like, wait, that's my grandchild's voice, but her name is Bonnie. What's going on? What is that, what I'm listening to?
I love that so much. Oh my gosh, that's so wholesome though. Did you pick this name like specifically as like a podcast name, or like because you said that Bonnie Orbison's not your real name?
No. So I'm always reading autobiographies of stars, and they have pseudonyms, and they're telling me that's the worst decision they ever did. And then I was like, I never take a pseudonym. And then I got bullied in school 2 years, and I changed school, and I didn't want that the old classmates find out that I published my book. So I said, okay, what name am I choosing? Then I'm a huge Roy Orbison fan. I was like,
is it allowed to take his last name? I don't know, I'm just taking it. And then I took his last name, and then Bonnie actually came up with a book I wrote because the main character is called Bonnie, and I loved her so much that I called myself after my own main character.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And it's international. Like my real name is Tabea Eberhard, and like in English class they always sing like Tabea Eberhard, and I'm like, no, it's Tabea, but that's okay, that's fine.
Oh my gosh. No, I feel that very much. Rain is not my last name. Rain,
I thought that.
Yeah, it's my middle name, but it's spelled differently. My mom spelled it very, very wrong on the birth certificate. So I spell it Rain because it's like people know how to pronounce it, and that's what my dad always wanted. But at this point, nobody knows my last name, which I think is so entertaining because it just started out like all of my friends like that I met at concerts and shows would just call me Kyla Rain because they knew me like off of Instagram or just like from like friends in the arts community, and I would always sign like my paintings and my collages as like Kyla Rain, and then everything on the magazine too. And I switched schools, same as you. I switched schools, and the school that I switched to was where a ton of my concert friends were, and so all of a sudden I'm just like Kyla Rain all day, every day. And my teachers just started calling me Kyla Rain instead of my last name. And it got so deep that when I came to college, like for a long time, like nobody knew my last name. And then I remember one day I left my ID card on the table and they looked at it and they're just like, we've been catfished. Like, who is it? It was very funny.
I don't know, the classmates are telling me, yeah, should I call you now Tabea or Bonnie? And I'm like, I don't care, call me however you want. And then then they start calling me Bonnie. My class is so weird. They're calling like everybody has a different name than their real names, and for me that was really good because they just then Bonnie for me. So I'm asking you now 5 life questions.
Okay, beautiful.
What's your full name?
My full name is Kyla Rain Wiley, but I go by Kyla Rain for all intents and purposes.
When's your birthday?
My birthday is December 16th, 2000.
Wow.
Thank you. Christmas, baby.
Song which describes you the most?
Where'd All the Time Go by Dr. Dog. And this has been a song that I remember because I was at a show once and this random girl walked out to me and she was like, okay, I know you, but you don't know me. And so she came up and she was like, do you listen to Dr. Dog? And I was like, random person, no, I do not. Like, who is that? And so she goes, okay, you have to listen to the song Where'd All the Time Go, because I don't know you that well, but I feel like you are the human embodiment of that song. And so I went home that night and I listened to that song, and that was like the biggest compliment I've ever gotten, because like the instrumentals and the lyrics are so like spot on, I guess, for like aspects of myself that I really enjoy, but I don't think that other people kind of see, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so when she said that, and actually, spoiler alert, this girl ended up becoming one of my best friends, and I still know her to this day, and we're super close now, but that was like our very first interaction. And so that song will always hold a special place in my heart.
Oh. Describe yourself in 2 free sentences.
Oh my goodness. You need to give me a second. 2 to 3 sentences. Can I do words instead of sentences?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would say adventurous, spontaneous, and loving. I love to love my friends. I have this thing where this year I promised myself I would make sure that my friends know how much I love and appreciate them, because I feel like that's something that we subconsciously think and we think gets across, and it probably does, but I want to start telling people that a lot more, you know.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Who is your legend?
My legend. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna have to pick a combo of 3. I love Iggy Pop, Patti Smith, and
oh my
Debbie
god.
Harry. Or yes.
My god. These are so
Iggy is my king. Thank you. My life will not be complete until I meet Patti Smith in real life. Like that has to. I will be so sad. No, I'm not even gonna think about it. I just have to meet her at some point. My best friend Abby, who is the co-owner of my magazine, we always make jokes. We're like, you're the Patti to my Robert, you're the Robert to my Patti, and we read like Just Kids together. And so for her birthday, I got her a first edition copy of M Train signed by Patti Smith, and she started crying. It was like, because she lives in Australia, and so she flew to America. To live with me for a month, literally never having met each other in real life, but we had already been best friends for 2 years. And so she flew out there, and that was like, it was her birthday was a couple of days after she got here, and so I got her that book, and I was just like, it was a beautiful moment.
Oh my god. I listened to Iggy Pop because of Oh Pretty Woman, the movie. Iggy Pop is such a great musician and such a freak, and he's such a legend. And also with David Bowie, when I was in my David Bowie phase, he lived with him like in Berlin, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have you seen the documentary that was it was like the holy trifecta, Iggy, David, and Lou Reed, and it was talking about like how they influenced each other's lives in so many weird ways, because it was like the whole thing where I want to say first it was Lou Reed in the Velvet Underground, and then David Bowie's manager, because Bowie had tried to have like a whole like career before that wasn't going so hot, and so Bowie's manager brought him back a copy of one of the Velvet Underground's like first albums or EPs, and so David Bowie heard that, and one of his like earlier songs, he actually wrote like a knockoff version of Heroin by the Velvet Underground, and so he like that was like a huge influence as to like who he became as like the David Bowie that we know. And then Iggy Pop went to a Velvet Underground show, and that was one of the main things that inspired him to start the Stooges. And then he ended up dating Nico after Lou Reed had dated Nico, and then they like all met, and then I don't know, it's just so weird, like there's a lot of weird connections, and it was the coolest documentary.
I have to watch it, literally.
Also, I apologize if anything and that was slightly wrong to the people listening. I'm pretty sure that that's how it went, but watch the documentary to fact check.
That's fine. That's literally fine. And then Patti Smith, I think Just Kids changed my life. This book changed literally my life. That was also around the time where I changed school. I remember it was the last day I was in this school, and I finished reading Just Kids, and I cried my eyes out because I was so emotional that I actually have to change school, and I was so emotional that he's dying, and I was like, oh no.
I know, it was, and just like the way that she writes too, like it makes you feel like a whole other level of emotion.
Yeah, and you have the feeling you're actually in this apartment she's describing, and you're actually in the 60s and 70s of New York, and oh my god. My mom got me into Blondie when I was 4 or something. So Blondie is my favorite band of all time. That's like, yeah. And then I got Face It to Christmas, and I started reading it. And that's so funny because Debbie Harry is like describing what Patty's like is, you know, they are like argumenting how New York was during that time. That was so funny.
I think that's because I'm reading that right now. I'm reading Face It like as we speak, and that was one of the things where I saw it, and I'm like, did Patti and Debbie get along? Like I don't know if they were friends now.
Debbie Harry is like such, yeah. I think Debbie Harry is the woman I want to be.
Oh my gosh, this is okay. So I'm cutting and dyeing my own hair on Tuesday, and I have always kept these pictures of young Debbie Harry in my camera roll, and I've always been like, one day I'll get this haircut, one day I'll do it. And so I'm going for a lot more tame version, obviously not as like I can't pull it off like Debbie could, but I am very excited because I'm gonna go for like a shag, and I'm like, I'll finally live out my 70s rock and roll dreams. Hopefully it turns out good.
Yeah, my mom is hairdresser, as I told you. And the moment I think I was 11, I think my whole life I'm telling her I want to have the same haircut like Debbie Harry. I want to have this haircut. And I'm always hoping that one day maybe, I don't know, but I'm telling you now this dream I have. This is so embarrassing. But I have this dream that that I don't know, that Debbie Harry is looking for somebody who's script writing the Face It, and then she's taking me, and then I'm playing herself in that movie.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, you have to tell your mom that like you need to get that haircut at least once just to see if you like it. And if you, because right now it's cool, like quarantine. Argue this with your mother. Right now, nobody is going to see you, nothing's happening. So it's the perfect time to get a crazy haircut just to see if you like it. Because if you don't like it, it's not like you're gonna see anybody anyways. So might as well just try.
Yeah, but now I'm kind of, because last year, I don't know, 2 years ago, at my confirmation, I cut my hair really short, and then it always shorter and shorter. And then at Christmas, I got, how are you saying that? Hold on. I always wanted to have this haircut. How are you saying? Oh yeah, I was such the German word. Like permanent waves.
Oh, like a perm.
Yeah, I wanted to have them, and I had short hair, and she said, okay, that's growing out. And she literally at Christmas she made that, and it took like a half year, and then I had like Debbie Harry style hair, and but then I said I'm growing it out, and now it's so long that I don't actually want to cut it right now.
I love that. Okay, no, keep it. When I was going into senior year of high school, I cut 20 inches off of my hair, and so my hair was all the way down to my hips, a little bit past my butt. Like it was long, like to the point where people would stop me and be like, oh my god, your hair. But here's the thing is that like it was so heavy and it would suffocate me when I slept. If I didn't like wear it up in a bun, I would like roll over and like choke myself with all the hair that I had. And so I cut it from there all the way up to my chin. And I remember going to school, going to orientation that year, and everybody stopped and was like, is this the same Kyla? Because I had always been known for like my long, like dirty blonde kind of hair, and then I cut it and it got dark, and it was like new me sort of thing. And I honestly haven't gone back. Like every time, right now it's like, my hair's also usually blue, so right now it's like quarantine hair kind of faded, but it's like past my shoulders. And I have such an urge just to shave it all off right now because I really don't like it, but I will refrain. My bleach is coming on Tuesday, so hopefully we can save it.
Yeah, actually my vision is always when I'm 18 and I don't know, but we in Germany, we just have the A levels, and that's the graduation, and then we can go to the university. But I'm not the school, I'm not somebody who goes to school and it's like, yeah, that's what I love to do, you know. So I'm not a person who says I will study after I finish my A levels. So I'm always saying when I'm 18 and I finished the 12th grade, I want to cut my hair like Demi Moore and Ghost Test. Do you know that? Like really short.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I want to do that.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so good. I'm a big fan of like big hair chops, so that makes me so happy.
Maybe we're still in contact in 2 years, and then I'm sending you a pic.
Even if we're not in contact, like just like hit me up, and that'll re-spark the friendship. But I must see pictures of this.
Okay. Oh yeah, we were at Who's Your Legend. Okay. Oh my god. I've read this book, and there's like song lyrics and book ideas and the interview sessions and everything.
I have one notebook that I've had for the last 4 years. I started it when I started the magazine, and it has like all of my like original interviews that I did in like the back of my local concert venue. It's covered in like stickers and stuff. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I love it though, because then you have like something physical, and it's like a physical representation of like that project or that point in your life, and you can hold it and be like, this is where it all started, like that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, but I love your room because I have not 2 rooms because I'm also dancing, and then I have one dance room and then one room where I can sleep and work now. But I actually seeing all these rooms where like the whole walls are the posters and pictures, and then I'm seeing at my wall and I'm like, okay, this is kind of naked.
Oh my god. Okay, so first off, you do so much. You dance too? Dude, I can't. The most dancing I can do, I can like mosh at a concert, and that's about it. That is like the extent of my dancing abilities. But yeah, I honestly like I live at my grandma's house, and so for the longest time she told me that I couldn't put anything up on the walls. And she had this like huge picture of like a waterfall. It was very like old lady-esque, I guess. And so one day when I was in middle school, I was honestly just like, you know what? I'm going to put up so many pictures on my walls that by the time it's done, she won't be able to say no because I won't be able to take them down. So that was when I was super into art. So I literally, like, there was no empty wall. Like, you could not see wall at all. It was all just, like, drawings and paintings and posters and pictures. And then as I got, like, more into music, and, like, more into, like, interior design in general, I started to, like, at least like tone it down a little bit, but still, you know, make sure it has some stuff going on.
No, so I had when I was younger, I was such a huge Tom Selleck fan in Magnum. Mm-hmm. Do you know Magnum PI? The old series.
Yes. Okay.
In Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah. So I always said, like, literally we're talking again about Magnum in the first episode of season 2. I'm also talking about Magnum. Maybe he will follow through this season. Who knows? Anyway, I always said he's like, when it got difficult with my dad, I discovered the series and I was like, I want to have a dad like Tom Selleck. So I got these 2 posters of Tom Selleck and I put them up on my bed. So when I fell asleep, I always looked at Tom Selleck and was like, oh, good night, daddy.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
And now I'm actually starting, because I'm always a person who's like collecting, how you saying, like journal? No, not journal. Like the papers, when you read papers.
Like newspapers?
No, like it's not a magazine. It's like the daily, like it's like the New York Times.
Okay, so that's like a newspaper.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know what you're talking about.
You have their section of culture, and every time I'm cutting something out of that, and actually I'm starting to collect in that's Brad Pitt right now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm starting to like getting it more colorful, because otherwise it just looks naked. And yeah,
I feel that. I used to do that too, except I keep mine in a notebook. I collect copies of Rolling Stone, and so I would take out all of my favorite articles, and I started to like make my own issue with like only my favorite like newspaper clippings in it.
Yeah.
So I have like a half-full notebook of just like really poorly pasted like newspaper stuff.
Yeah, I have a whole box of that, but I actually did that in a young age too, because I remember when I had a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio at like 6, and he was around the time he was engaged with Tony Garn, and I collected everything from that journey.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Honestly, everybody's in love with Leo. Like, he's just somebody that like genuinely could get any like he could walk up to a stranger and be like, marry me, and she'd be like, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a crush on him during Titanic. I watched the first time Titanic, the 6, and then he was my first celebrity crush. And but actually, since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm more a Brad Pitt fan.
You've switched. You've been converted.
Yeah.
I'm still a Leo fan. I like I know that Brad is like objectively cute, but I don't personally think that he's that attractive, but I can recognize that he is a beautiful person.
Yeah, but after the movie came out, I like walked around the whole school and were like, Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio? And everybody said Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was like, no, it's Brad Pitt.
You've been outnumbered.
Yeah. But actually funny is that I started writing a book last summer, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came up, and the main character, like the love interest, is not called Brad.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that means that when people go back and read this book, they'll get like a little tidbit of like a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, especially when they listen now to this episode, and then they will read the book, and we're like, okay, so that's Brad Pitt. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now we know that.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much though. When like little things connect. oh, I don't remember who, but a lot of authors I used to read when I was in high school would do that with their books, and it was always so fun to like figure out like, you know, like read past interviews and figure out like which little I guess like tidbit was a fun fact. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's kind of annoying because I once told my friend, a good friend of mine, that we're kind of connecting things in our books of ourselves. And then on this book I published now is one scene where the main character is saying, I don't like therapy. And then my friend, who's actually going right now through therapy, was like, you don't like therapy? And I was like, no, stop. This is not me. This is the main character. You know, you have to rate it in it.
I feel that. I think that people do that with musician songs a lot too. Like they'll like write a lyric that means something, but somebody else will take it another way, and it'll just be like, no, that's just the song. Like I don't, that whole sort of situation.
I read you wanted to podcasting too.
Oh my gosh, when I was before I started the magazine, that was something that I tried to do. Except I wanted to start a radio station. But
that's something that was my head too.
Yes, that's like. I mean, as like an 8th grader, I was like, what, 14 maybe. I had no clue how to do that, and like, I don't want to be like back then, no, but back then, like, there weren't like a lot of like zines, there weren't a lot of like, I guess like younger people doing that. So at least I didn't find them. If like YouTube was the thing that people did, and so all I could find. So I did start a YouTube channel briefly. That was short-lived. That was a horrible mistake, but yeah, I did. I wanted to start a radio station at some point, but that didn't really click. So then I started the magazine, and that was something that was like, oh, I love this, like that sort of thing,
Yeah, but I think everybody's figuring that out.
Yeah.
Like the people in my school are sometimes saying like, oh, this question was boring. And then we're like, what should I've asked them then? And they're like, I don't know. I didn't say anything. Because then, and then they're always like, how do you hit them up? How do you slide into their DMs? And I'm like, sometimes, at this point, I'm just saying, I have no clue. Just make it on your own. Like,
figure it out. Yeah, it's very much like, I don't know. You just gotta take the small windows of opportunity that come and just like shoot out your message. Like the amount of cold emails that I've sent out that like became something beautiful is really cool, and everybody's like, how did you do that? I'm like, you just hit send. Like that's pretty much it.
So how did everything start with Pure Nowhere?
With Pure Nowhere, everything. So when I was in 8th grade, when I was like 13, 14, I started to build the website. And it took me like a year and a half to get that up, but it never really had like a purpose. I was always kind of looking for, I guess, something like an outlet, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. And then when I was 15, for my birthday, I went to my first local concert, and that was the defining point. Like I can chart back who I am now to that exact night, because I remember sitting there in the parking lot, and I saw this big group of kids come around the side and meet one of the bands, and they went backstage, and I saw them like inside like talking to the security guards and like all the people working, and I'm like, I want to be one of those people. Like I was like, I have finally found my space where everybody's like so wholeheartedly themselves. And so I started the magazine because I wasn't good enough at guitar to be in a band. And it was also like my way of giving back to a community that gave me everything. So it started out as like a local music blog for the San Diego music scene. And then 2 years into it, I met my best friend Abby online. She was also running a magazine in Australia. We were the same age. We had like all the same dreams and aspirations. We connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything that she was really good at, I needed help with, and vice versa. So we decided to merge our magazines together, and we became super, super close friends. And then that's when everything kind of changed, because we weren't just a music magazine anymore. We now did like culture and activism, and we just got very fixated on documenting youth culture and all its like many different forms, and creating like a space for when no physical place feels like home, which is one of like our taglines, because I don't know, I think it's really special when you can feel like safe and heard in a specific environment and go somewhere and have like a community of people that maybe you've never necessarily met them, but everybody's so supportive and so honest. I think that's really beautiful. But yes, that's how it started, and it's always kind of changing and evolving as we grow too, but that's the basis.
But I love the design of your magazine, like the Instagram page and that stuff.
Thank you so much. I love the people that we work with. Like everybody inspires it so much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy with where we are right now.
That's fine. Like literally today, the whole day, I'm always a person who starts crying immediately. So today I felt so happy for who I am today, because of when I remember me last summer, I was so depressive and like didn't figure out how life works, and then a good friend of mine died and all that stuff, and I was like really depressed, and so I'm really like taking every day so grateful right now. That's just, yeah.
I love that. I think about that a lot now, especially just with like quarantine. I haven't like seen anybody or done anything in 5, almost 6 months now. And so it's like that, I don't know. Okay, so I have this thing where I love talking to strangers. Like if I see somebody who like looks very interesting out in the world and I'm like, I want to be friends with them, I will just walk up to them and be like, hey, you seem really cool. We should be friends. And that usually that like throws off my friends so much. But I really hope that like coming out of quarantine, everybody will be a lot more open to different aspects of like chance or opportunity or like, I don't know, just doing everything that you want to do while you can do it. Because I don't know, I went so long like, you know, thinking like, oh, I wish I could be friends with that person, and they're standing like 2 feet away. I'm like, why can't you? Like there's that question of like all these like, I guess like tiny regrets that kind of build up over time, and I want to make sure that those are as little as possible. And I'm excited to see what other people take out of the whole quarantine experience as well.
Yeah, that was also with my brother. He was like always thinking that I'm brilliant and I'm genuine and talented and I should do it. And then he saw how I got frustrated with my book and that stuff, and then quarantine started. And we talked just 1 week ago on the phone, and he was like, you know, you're now better than I am right now. And I was like, he's 30 and he's telling me that. That was so overwhelming, actually. I was so proud of myself then too. And I was like, oh my God. I'm also working for my brother. So don't ask me what I do. But there was also like my classmates like looked for holiday jobs and that stuff. And they're like, okay, hey, Tabia, do you have a holiday job too? And I was like, I'm publishing my book. I have this podcast. I may be writing another book. Now I'm making lyrics videos for musicians. I work for my brother. Isn't that enough?
I feel that very much. That's me, because I was taking 18 credits the entire both semesters last year, which is like the absolute maximum you can take at my school, like without applying for like special like exceptions. And my major is really hard, but on top of that I was working 2 part-time jobs literally before, after, and like in between every single class, like every day of the week. And then I have the magazine and I throw shows, and then now I work for my friend's music tech startup doing outreach for different clients, and like freelance work too. I don't know, it's just always a lot. And so when somebody's asking me like, oh, what are you up to, and I'm always like, what part are you asking about, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Or like the people are just telling me, yeah, what are you doing in 2 years? And I'm always like, I stopped telling them that I want to travel around and just write my books and having this podcast and doing whatever I want to do, because they're just telling me, that doesn't work, that won't work. And I'm like, that will work.
It does work though, if like you put in the time and the effort and the dedication to it. Like you can make like anything adaptable. Like it's just based off of what you want, because even if like it works for you doesn't mean it'll work for them. And so maybe they'll still see it as like, oh, well, like, you don't have this, like, that doesn't work. And but to you, it's like, I don't need that, you know, like, this is all I want, that sort of situation.
Yeah, or like the classmates are like texting me like, hey, how's your holidays going? I'm like, okay, so this week I have 4 more podcast episodes. I should edit more podcast episodes. How are you? And then they're telling me they're laying on the bed and watching Netflix and TikTok. And I'm like, man, I would love to do that too, but I exactly know if I start a Netflix film, I just stop in the middle and then I'm editing, or I don't know, texting legends or something.
I love that so much. I am very much that person though. I'll like start 10 different things and like never finish any of them. And then in the end, I'll be like, the whole thing was like a procrastination thing too. Like I started all these things to procrastinate, but then procrastinated on what I was procrastinating on. And then in the end, like nothing gets done. And I'm like, okay, so I didn't relax today because I was too stressed out about the work I wasn't doing. I didn't finish any of the stuff that I started to do, and I didn't even do what was actually on my to-do list. So like, what happened, you know?
Yeah, but I learned that actually I started having a to-do list too, but I stopped having it because it's just stressing me out. And but literally I just said I'm going to bed every day, and then I'm asking myself what I achieved today, and then, you know, then I'm laying in my bed and thinking, okay, I didn't do the stuff I had to do. But for example, a legend texted me back and agreed that they doing with me this podcast. Like, this is something.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big fan of to-do lists, but I agree that sometimes it overwhelms me. So I'll write like little tiny tasks that I did that day just so I can check it off and like feel productive.
What's your position in the magazine? Like, what are you doing? You're co-owner and...
Yes, I am one of the head editors and co-owner of the magazine. And then Abby, my best friend and partner, is also a head editor and co-owner. And we have a team of around 70 people now, which I think is very exciting, all over the world. But I know that with publications, a lot of people like call themselves like editor-in-chief. But that's something that like Abby and I have talked about and like aren't really comfortable with, because I feel like, I don't know, it makes it seem like that there's one person in charge of the magazine, whereas like we want it to be a collaborative experience where like everybody on our team, from like intern to writer to like managing web editor, like we want everybody to feel like they have an equal sort of say in the direction that we go in and like the content that we make, you know?
Yeah, but you make this impression.
Yeah, exactly.
How can people get involved in your magazine? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm not interested in having another techno.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for your friend, we do always accept submissions, pitches, any sort of approach like that through hello@purenowhere.com or submit@purenowhere.com. The submit is more like if you're sending in like a piece that you've already written or like something like that. And then we also have different opportunities for collaborations for different projects that we're doing. Like right now we have a curator making a series on BI POC couples and quarantine, and so we're looking for different couples that want to sort of document that intimacy between them. And then we are trying to start our second print issue, so we will have like specific submissions, like openings for that. So yeah, honestly, if you want to do something, the biggest thing is just to email, and it might take us a sec to reply just because there are a lot of emails that come in, but we'll always get to it. Yeah, and then also just like Instagram, tag us in your stuff so we can see what cool art or photography you're doing.
So actually, I'm just thinking, I would love to collaborate with you. That's the truth. And I'm also like, I'm always open to collaborate with people. And I would love, so for example, I'm really into video editing. Would that be something which could be in your collective of editors, or would that be?
Yeah, honestly, we haven't done that much video work yet, just because we like haven't really had the means to do it, haven't really had anybody that's too interested. But I think like videos for Instagram or something, and if you ever want to write, if you ever want to do like an interview feature, or if you have like a personal piece, like we'd publish a ton of personal essays too. So I know that you said that you wrote a ton of songs about your dad. If you wrote like I guess like a personal piece about that, I've published a ton of stuff just like out of my own personal journal and put it out there. Yeah, I think that's really special. We have like one section called Dear Youth that just sort of goes under like all that like word vomit, like honesty, like little intimate things that people send to us. And that's really beautiful. But yes, you should email me or just text me after this and we'll talk some more.
Okay, great. So I saw you shooting also. For example, via Zoom meetings, you take your photos. What cameras are you using?
Right now, I just put it away. I just got a new camera from my uncle. He sent me one of his old ones and he's like, it's not that fancy. Do you want it? And it is nice. It's a Sony, I want to say it's like, I don't know the exact name, but it's a Sony DSLR. That's the one digital camera that I have. And then I have two Pentax IQ Zooms, which are little point and shoot film cameras. I have a Canon AE1, which is an SLR film camera, a Minolta Maxim, and then I have like a little camcorder, and then a digital tiny little point and shoot. And I have a thing for cameras. I collect quite a few.
But that's fine. That is fine. I'm like collecting earrings. That's awful.
I love that so much. My friend runs an earring company. You should check it out. It's called Kike on Instagram, and they make like lots of. I have like lemon ones and cherries, and I have little butterflies, and they're really cute.
Oh my god! Yeah, because every time I'm in a store and they have earrings, I'm running to them and then choosing one of them because I can't go out of that store without having an earring.
I love that so much. I didn't have my ears pierced for the longest time either because they closed when I was little. Now I do. But so Kike would always put clip-ons on for me, so I didn't have to worry about that. I thought that was very sweet.
So I also read you're a music lover. So we want to talk about, I mean, actually you're co-owning a music and culture magazine. Come on.
I mean, no, I hate music. Like that's, no, I'm joking.
So what's an album what you say is one of the best ever?
Oh, okay. I was just talking about this the other day with my friend. He asked me what 5 albums I would take with me and only play those 5. But the best ever, let's say coming out of like my personal preference, like not just my favorite albums, but one that I think is one of the best albums ever made. There's 3 that come to mind. I would say Tapestry by Carole King is one of the best albums ever made. Marquee Moon by Television is also amazing. And then Tremble Under the Boomlights by Jonathan Fire Eater. Those are 3 that are like so, I guess, like impactful and influential in their respective areas and have done so much in terms of like producing and lyricism and instrumentals that you listen to it and you're like, this is like, collectively the entire album is a work of art. Like those 3 are
I just got recent into Carole King, but I was like really like the most of her best songs and successful ones are from this album. And I was like, she made a hit album. Like,
exactly. It's not just a hit song. It's like an entire album that is so spot on. Like every song you think, okay, this is the best one. And then the next one comes on and you're like, wait, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So choose 5 to 10 songs for your filmed soundtrack.
Oh my gosh. 5 to 10. Okay, wait. Let me pull up my Spotify real quick. 5 to 10 songs for my soundtrack. Okay, so one has to be Where'd All the Time Go by Dr. Dog. That is the soundtrack to my life. That one is beautiful. Okay, I have a playlist that's called Instant Happiness, and it's just all the songs that when they immediately play, they make me so very happy. So I'm probably gonna pick songs from there because they always pull through. Okay. Where'd All the Time Go by Dr. Dog. Sister Golden Hair by America. Crimson and Clover. Build Me Up Buttercup.
Yeah.
So good. Making Breakfast, Twin Peaks. Necromancer, Joy Again, Junk of the Heart, The Kooks, Boys Don't Cry, The Cure. Wouldn't It Be Nice, The Beach Boys.
Oh my god, yeah.
And my last one, Our Song by Radiator Hospital. I'd say that that would be a very strange soundtrack, but every song playing would make me so happy.
That's so cool. Actually, I couldn't choose anything because literally, so I'm not always dancing when I'm in this room. I'm sometimes just playing my book ideas. And then I'm having the soundtrack of this album, of this book. And actually, I couldn't choose 10 songs. That would be.
I love that so much. Did you ever watch the TV show Normal People?
No, I think
Okay.
I can watch it.
Okay. If you can, that TV show, it's on Hulu, and it is so good. And one of our writers wrote an article about it because the creators of the show actually made playlists for each specific character, and they sent the playlist to the actors ahead of time so they can kind of like get into the mindset of the person. And so she wrote an article on the intimacy within playlists and like storytelling through music, and I thought that was like so interesting. So like now for every single project that I do, I have to make a playlist to capture the energy.
I'm always doing that. That's so like I have so many Spotify playlists, and like my songs are 8,900, something about that.
Yeah, my playlists average at around like 100 songs per playlist, and I genuinely,
it's not my. I have sometimes just playlists of 3 songs in it, but then I'm listening to them on repeat. Oh my god! I actually have also like on Instagram. I'm posting every day the song of the day.
I love that so much.
I made this in animation for me because I was like, I'm always sharing music, so why not sharing it daily and then making a cool animation to it? And literally some people like hit me up, were like, how did you do that? And I'm always like, if you want that I do something for you, I'm here.
Wait, send me one of those posts when this is over. I want to see one of those. That sounds really cool.
It's actually my story, if you just like tap on.
Okay, I will.
I think today it's Bruce Springsteen, my hometown.
I love that. Oh my gosh, my friend Gusby does this thing, but he calls it Gusby's Grooves of the Day, and so every day he posts a new song, and he's been doing it for a long time now. I genuinely don't know how long, but it always makes my day.
What's your fave genre of music?
Genre of music. I would, if I only had to pick one. Oh my gosh, I would probably say indie rock because so much can fit underneath there. Like you can get a little bit of punk influence, a little bit of classic rock, a little bit of like R&B, and so I feel like that's one of the most versatile genres. So I would pick indie rock.
What's your fave music decade?
Oh, okay. Hands down. Late 60s, early 70s, because that had so much for women in music in terms of classic rock singer-songwriter, just like general classic rock, and then also the punk movement there was so good. Like New York and the UK were really having an adventure with that.
Yeah, that's true. Do you play any instrument?
I do. I play guitar and I play mandolin. However, I have not played the mandolin in a long time, so I'm not very good anymore, but I really want to pick it back up. That's one of like the most beautiful instruments, I think.
What's mandolin?
A mandolin is like I kind of explain it as like a mixture between a ukulele and a banjo.
Oh, okay.
It's like a very small string instrument, and they used to play it a lot in like, I want to say like the medieval era. It was used, and it's like, I don't know. I think that it's like the if you could make a butterfly into an instrument, the mandolin is what it would sound like. It's like this tiny.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorites. I I got into it because I heard some covers of The Cure on mandolin, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. I was like, okay, so now I have to learn how to play.
That was actually with me and saxophones. I'm a huge 80s fan, and like the 80s are always having this saxophone solo in it. And one day I just said I'm taking it, but the teacher was bad, and yeah, now I didn't learn. I think I can play one note. One.
I've always wanted to learn how to play the saxophone. I love jazz music. That's one thing that yes, it's like a guilty pleasure of mine.
What's your fave band of all time?
Cage the Elephant, hands down. I actually back here. That thing right there. That's a signed set list by Matt Schultz. My dad got me for Christmas one year. It's not a set list. It's a lyric sheet for one of their songs. But that they were the very first band that I ever got into. I was in the 2nd grade when my godbrothers got me into Cage the Elephant. My very first concert ever, and my first time crowd surfing was at a Cage the Elephant concert, and so my all-time favorite band ever.
What's your favorite artist of all time?
Artist? Oh my gosh, wait, like what kind of artist are we talking about?
Music.
Yeah. Well, do you mean like, okay, so singular, like not band, but like singular musician?
Exactly.
Okay. I genuinely have no clue. I haven't thought about like singular. I don't know. I can't answer that one. I pass.
That's fine. So what are your plans for today, for this week?
My plans for today. For this week, I have 2 new Zoom photo shoots. I have to edit the pictures and collage them. I am gonna pack because I'm moving back up to LA in a few days, which I'm very excited about. I like everything's my major's it is the only major on campus that is still in person, just because it's so small and everything is like very physical. So I'm moving into this house. We have like a house cat and a house turtle, which I'm very excited for. I'm cutting my hair and I'm dyeing it blue again, and probably gonna read some more of that Debbie Harry book.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
So excited. I just started it a few weeks ago, and then I went through like a period of like about like a week and a half where I was just like, okay, I'm sleeping for the entire week, and that is okay. So
that's a great idea. I think I should plan it into these holidays.
It honestly was like the best thing I've ever done. I genuinely just like let myself lay in bed, do nothing, talk to nobody, and it was very relaxed.
So that's it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on here. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you too.
I love the little rants that we got off on in the beginning. Made me very happy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then.
I love that.
I loved it too. Have a great day. I mean, actually, it's dark outside.
You have a great night. Sleep well. Dream of Brad Pitt. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
And this was Kyla Rain, everybody. Write me your definition of Kyla Rain in the comments. I'm so curious about your definitions. Like, and if you got one perfectly right, then I hire you to be my intro writer. Yeah. This was today's episode of season 2 of Kyla Rain. And next week we're going to have a musician. I don't tell you who it is, but it's a musician. If you want to know who it is, or you want to listen to more stuff of this episode that I had to cut off because otherwise it would have been too long, then in this bio you'll find the link to my Patreon. It's really cheap, and you can get there early access to the next episode. Actually, to all episodes I'm putting out in the next weeks. Then you get bonus content, for example, Kyla talking about California and her college years And you will find out earlier than everybody else who the next guest is. So it's worth checking it out. And by the way, you also support them, this podcast. And definitely follow Pure Nowhere, Kyla Rain, and Abby Strangward on Instagram for more content. That was me. That was Bonnie Orbison. I wish you a wonderful night. And see you next week.